everyone, and welcome to Hosting with Susanna, where I help you create beautiful parties and fun gatherings to bring people together. Today we're making my Kvelling carrot hummus. This is a delicious snack to have at your Totally Buggin' party, which is a Clueless fan-inspired parody party. This is so delicious, and I was inspired, of course, by the movie Clueless, by the scene where Josh is first introduced in the movie, and Cher comes into the kitchen, Josh is in the fridge, and she just starts snacking on carrot sticks. So I figured since that was a good go-to healthy snack for Cher, I wanted to incorporate carrots somewhere in this menu. And I thought that a carrot hummus would be such a delicious touch. So that's what we're making today. Let's get started. We're going to need 16 ounces of carrots. I already peeled and chopped them. We're going to need 2 garlic cloves. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Right now, that's all we're gonna need for just roasting the carrots and garlic. So I'm gonna get started with that, and then we'll continue with all the other ingredients and the rest of the things that we need to make our hummus. We're gonna go ahead and put the 16 ounces of carrots along with the 2 garlic cloves into a medium-sized bowl. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add those 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I also want to note that while you're preparing these roasted carrots, go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add in all of our seasonings. So that's gonna be a 1/4 teaspoon of the paprika. Also, I want to note there are different types of paprika. I'm using a mild sweet one for this recipe. A 1/4 teaspoon of the ground ginger. A 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper. Now we're going to go ahead and give all of that a nice good stir. Make sure that the seasonings are all well distributed and coating our carrots and garlic. Okay, that looks great. It looks like all of the carrots and garlic are well coated with the olive oil and all the seasoning. So we're going to go ahead and spread this out on our baking sheet that's covered with parchment paper. You're going to want to make sure that your carrots are kind of well spread out throughout the baking sheet, not too clustered together. And then I'm going to go ahead and just drizzle over top all of the remaining olive oil and seasoning that's left at the bottom of this bowl. Okay, these are all set and ready to go in the oven. We're gonna roast them for about 18 to 20 minutes until these carrots look nice and tender. Okay, now that our carrots and garlic are in the oven roasting, we're gonna proceed with cooking our chickpeas. So you're gonna need 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas, and you wanna keep the liquid in there. We're actually gonna use that later on in the recipe, so don't drain them. So we're gonna cook them over medium heat, stirring it until it simmers. So we also want to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda to our chickpea mixture. That baking soda is going to really help with the cooking process of our chickpeas to really soften them up and make them better to blend in our hummus. Okay, so our chickpeas are all nice and cooked now. They're simmering. We're going to go ahead and take them off the heat, and we're going to let them cool down and wait for the garlic and carrots to finish roasting. Okay, now that our roasted carrots, garlic, and chickpeas are all cooled down, we're ready to start combining all of our ingredients to make our hummus. So you can use either a food processor or a blender to mix everything together to make your hummus. So we're going to go ahead and strain out our chickpeas. So like I mentioned earlier, we'd be saving the chickpea liquid and using it later in the recipe. This is where it comes in. So we're going to take 1/3 cup of our chickpea liquid and add it to the rest of our ingredients. I'm going to set the chickpea liquid aside because if this doesn't get to the consistency that I want, I'm going to add a little bit more in if it's too thick. Okay, and now we're going to add our roasted carrots and garlic to the mixture. We'll add 1/2 cup of tahini. We'll add 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then we're going to add the juice from 2 lemons. Okay, now that all of our ingredients are in our blender, we're going to go ahead and blend it up until we have the consistency that we want for our hummus. Okay, this looks like a good consistency. I think we're ready to serve it. Doesn't that just look delicious? And serving it with some nice pita bread or some crackers, some veggies, whatever you choose is a great way to treat your guests to a nice, beautiful snack. Let's see how it tastes. That is so good. I always love a yummy hummus. I'm sure you and your friends are sure to enjoy it. See you next time.